Hey, what's going on, X-Men fans? Thank y'all so much for clicking on today's video. In my last video, I made this super cool Cyclops visor from X-Men 97, so I figured today, let's step up the difficulty a little bit, and let's make this awesome Cyclops statue by Wicked 3D. So I did skip all of the gluing all the parts together and then all of the priming, because that's easy. But I did want to say that this piece came in, I think, like 19 to 20 pieces. The rocks were 8. The Sentinel head was 2, and then Cyclops himself, I think, was like 8 or 9. I don't know if those numbers add up. I probably look like an idiot. But anyway, I skipped all that, so let's get into painting Cyclops. So as I had mentioned in the intro, this model came in a ton of different pieces. The 3-piece triangular base that you see there, I ended up just kind of doing away with that because I liked the overall feel of the model more without it. I wanted to kind of work my way up from the bottom, so I started with the rock base. I don't know if I really succeeded in that, considering the last thing I did was the Sentinel head, but I'm going to be doing a dry brush here, starting off with a dark gray color to kind of contrast against the black. And you just want to get a lot of paint on your brush, and then as you can see there in the corner, then you get a lot of it off and just kind of lightly go around and dry brush the rocks. For the first 3 or 4 passes on the base, I used the same color gray, and I just added some black to it on the first go around. And then here you can see me just using the straight gray. And then I'm going to go over that. And then after that, I'm going to add a little bit of white to the gray, just to kind of keep building up my colors. And eventually, I will get to where I just very lightly use just a white color. And when I do get to the white, I'm only going around on the edges and the highest of points, because I don't want the white to overpower everything else. I just want it to kind of subtly stand out. I'm going to now start base coating all of the blue parts of the figure with this Vallejo Ultramarine Blue. And you really want to kind of find a middle ground color for this, because we're going to go back and add highlights with a lighter blue, and then also shadows with a darker blue or even a black. But before any of that, we're going to go ahead and get all this blue down. I think this is called boxing in your colors. Maybe somebody that's more experienced than I am can come tell you, but basically we're just boxing everything in so that then we can go back later and do all the smaller, more detailed work. Once you're happy with the coverage of your base blue, we're going to move on to a lighter blue. In this case, we're going to be using Magic Blue. And you're basically just spraying the high points of the model, so like mostly the tips of the muscles, just so they kind of stand out. For the shadows, we're going to be using these Pastels. You could airbrush this too, but I just like the Pastels because I feel like they give you more control. And if you mess up, you don't have to start over. I scraped off a couple of different colors in these little boats. It was a black, a dark gray, and then a dark blue. Just kind of experiment to see what kind of color I wanted to use. And then I went into all of the low spots of the blue parts of the model, or as Ground Affected would say, the crevasses. And I just kind of used a light brush, kind of like a brush you would use to dry brush. That's the word I was looking for. A brush that you would use to dry brush, and I kind of just almost painted it in these low little areas, and then I blew it away. I also went in with the head sculpt and did it kind of like in the folds of the neck and that sort of area. And next up, we're going to start painting the yellow, and yellow is a pain in the ass to paint. I absolutely hate painting yellow, but of course with these X-Men models, there's a ton of yellow, so there's that. And because yellow does not go over a color that is darker than yellow, and pretty much every color is darker than yellow, you have to go out and repaint everything that's going to be yellow, I'm saying a lot of yellow, with white. So we did the little belt thing that Cyclops wears on his chest all in white. We had to do the, oh look, now I'm actually painting yellow, but we did the little bands on his legs, and we had to do one of his hands in white. But then we started hand painting the yellow, and even then, after painting everything white, yellow is still a pain in the ass because it takes so many coats to get a good coverage on it. Yeah, like I said, I hate painting yellow. On the little belts on his chest, I wanted to break up the yellow a little bit. I didn't want everything just to be one big yellow thing. So if you look, he has like the actual straps, but then he has some like clips, I guess, that look like they should be metal. So I painted those in a gold, just kind of break everything up, and I really liked how it came out. And I also painted the buckles on his thighs, on the little thigh belt things. I painted those gold too. I then went in and painted the little X symbol on his chest with a little bit of red and a little bit of black. The model has a few separate pieces that needed to be base coated in yellow, and luckily for those, they were still completely white. They didn't have any kind of overspray or anything like that, so I was able to just straight up spray them with the airbrush, and that made life a lot simpler. I then went back to my pastels, and you can use either an orange or a brown for the shadows of yellow, but I couldn't find an orange that I actually liked, an orange that was dark enough, so I went with the brown, and I actually really ended up liking how it came out because it almost gave a dirty look on the boots especially, and then I even went in with a black on the bottom of the boots to really kind of make them look kind of dirty and worn. At some point in this, I found a technique I really liked, and you can see me doing it here. I used a smaller brush to apply the pastels, and then I actually used the brush I applied the black or the blue pastels with to wipe all of that away, and it really just allowed me to get into those cracks and crevices even more. And here you can just kind of see a comparison of how the straps on the legs looked before the pastel and after the pastels. And then I finally started putting this bad boy together, and I used the Gorilla Glue that you could buy that also has the little brush attached to it. I find out it's a lot runnier than your normal Gorilla Glue, and it's easier to use, but it's still just as effective. So that's what I started using because I really like it. I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I'm gonna go ahead and mention it again here. Make sure you do all of your pre-fitting before you do any painting or anything like that, just so that when you do get to this step, you don't have a major pain on your hands of stuff not fitting together after all that hard work you put in painting it. It was finally time to do the head sculpt, and I've already ranted multiple times in this video about how much I despise painting yellow, so I masked everything off with some liquid mask, and I went in with the airbrush and painted the visor yellow. And even this didn't cover entirely, but it was a lot easier than just hand painting it. I'm still trying to find a way to paint skin tones that I really like. So even in my next video, you'll probably see me do something different. But here I just went in with a little bit of Flesh Tone by Vallejo and painted all of his skin with just the base color. And then here in a bit, you'll see me kind of go in and do some washes on the skin tone just to kind of bring that color out a little bit more. So I'm going to start off with a blue wash, which is just blue paint mixed with a ton of water, and I'm going to go over and just kind of place it all over the model and give it a little bit of warmth. And then I really like using these Q-tips to go in, and they can kind of get areas that otherwise are harder. And then I go in with a red wash to kind of give that reddish skin color, and honestly I probably go a little too heavy on this. I'm still trying to learn, but the yellow kind of dyes or dulls the red down a little bit. And here is kind of the before and after. I do go back and dull that red down even a little bit more. I don't think I got any video of me actually doing that though, or the lips or inside the mouth, but here I am mixing some brown and some black to get a little darker brown to go in and base coat his hair with. I kind of really went back and forth on Cyclops' hair because in the animated show he does have a really good red tint to it, so I kind of wanted to pay some homage to that a little bit, but I didn't want to overdo and just have him almost be like a ginger running around. But after I did base coat it in brown, I went back with a black wash just to get, again, all up in those crevices, and then I'll use the paper towel to wash all of it away. And then I mixed a little bit of burnt umber, I think it was, and I just kind of lightly went over the very tips of the hair just to give it a little bit of a red tint but not overdo it. And then for the visor, I used a gloss red by Tamiya, and I think I didn't even have to do more than one coat using this paint. Alright, now it is time for the part of the build that I was the most worried about, and that is the Sentinel head. I'll get into why I had so much trouble here in just a second, but first I base coated the entire head in silver, and then I went back with some of that liquid latex I used a few minutes ago and just kind of liberally went around and applied it in spots so that after I painted the head I could rip all that latex off and it would still show silver underneath for weathering. Okay, so what gave me trouble? If you're familiar with my channel and you saw my Magneto helmet build, I used a Pearlized purple by Createx for the purple parts of that Magneto helmet, and I wanted to use that same purple for the Sentinel head. Where I ran into trouble was it did not matter what I did with this purple. As you can see me struggling with it here, I could not get it to spray. I tried it straight out the bottle, I tried watering it down, and it legitimately did not matter what I did. I could not get it to spray in a way that I liked. I have over 22 minutes of footage of me struggling with this paint trying to get it to work, and that's not even including the amount of time that I just turned the camera off and didn't even bother trying to record, or I want to say I cleaned my airbrush 2 or 3 times because this paint would gunk it up, and it was just a mess. And eventually I just said, you know what, screw this, I'm just gonna spray it with a purple spray paint that I have. So after that was dry, I went in and removed all of the masking and liquid masking that I had done. And I was a little nervous about this purple color in general, but once I removed all that masking, and then I even went in with some files and some little paint scraper things and sandpaper and that kind of thing, just to add even more cuts and wear to it. I actually really liked how it looked. And then here's kind of how all that looked after I finished doing all the things that I just told you that I was doing. Then I went in, because I didn't really want to mask everything, I went in with this Game Color Polished Gold on the faceplate of the Sentinel. And this too was a pain in the ass. I could not even begin to tell you how many coats this took. It just got to the point where I would do a coat, go inside for like 10-20 minutes, and then come back out and do another coat. And I must have done that a million times, it felt like. And then finally, the very last thing I did to this model, aside from going back with that red Tamiya that I painted the visor with, I went in with that same black wash I used on the hair, and I just applied it all over the Sentinel head to really make it look like it's been through some shit. and I applied it in certain areas more than once, areas that I wanted to really make look dirty and grungy. And as you can see here, I just thank you guys for checking out the video. I hope I did Wicked 3D justice on this statue. It was really fun to do. I'm really starting to enjoy doing statues like these. Next up will be Gambit. I have them on the printer literally right now. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a like on the video. It helps the video, it helps the channel, helps me. So helps y'all if y'all enjoy it. So perfect. But thanks y'all for watching. Hope y'all are back for the next one, and